What's up, everybody? It's John Stone's podcast. This is my lovely friend.
Hi guys, I'm Hannah Ray Lynn.
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, you've been on the roll all day today. Been doing meetings and stuff, etc. Pretty much, right? Is that the management team for the record label that you co-signed for?
I co I co-signed, or I didn't co-sign. I signed with a publishing deal in Nashville. I'm not in Nashville anymore. So luckily I can do all my recording and my work from home. We just communicate through Zoom or FaceTime or text or emails or whatever. So
Okay. And that was just recently, the year passing around November. You said that you signed with them in Nashville. Because Nashville, isn't that like the heart of music? Like, because I've heard that so many times. Like, if you want to not necessarily make in the music business, but if you want to get somewhere, Nashville would be like kind of like the main place to head to. If you want to find a great record deal or record label or to be found and etc. stuff like that. Yeah. Now, are you originally from Nashville?
yeah, I lived there for 17 years.
Okay.
There. And I moved to Florida when I was 15. That was like 9 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe
Mhm.
more. And then I kind of just let life happen after I graduated high school. And then I let life take its course based upon where I want to do in life, like career wise, or if I want to pursue in music. I just kind of you know, Tampa's not the place like Nashville.
Yeah.
It's completely mindset. It's a whole different mindset. There's music here, but it's nothing like Nashville. And honestly, I don't know how I got to that point here where I did get signed. I'm like, but I live here. How did I get signed? If I live in Florida,
I might have to take
I'm
some
away
notes.
from my home. And I'm like the opposite, but I managed to make it work.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was just talking about it recently as well, how like things are more how to say it, things are more accessible through just even doing necessarily just a simple thing as Zoom and just having a conversation, being interviewed as that, and with that, I feel like, that definitely helps to fluctuate and you don't have to necessarily be at a certain location just to make it happen. You're the proof. You're proving it. You know what I mean? You're the proof.
Yeah.
And that's good though. That's cool because like a lot of people, especially out in Florida, I damn near lived here my whole life. I definitely, and especially around your area, I've been familiar with that area. And a lot of people try to pursue music and try to do things that will make themselves have clout and stuff like that, but they're not the people that have made it that lived in Florida. It was different before what it is now. Like you would have to travel, you would have to go to Los Angeles, Nashville, or you have to go certain places in a certain area to be heard, right? And now because the internet and live stream and all that stuff has taken so much upon with such from a little bit of that time to what it is now, it definitely opened up for a lot of artists such as yourself, um, are able to do that. So I feel like that's just I don't know. I feel like it's just inspirational to hear, because there's no limits,
Okay.
for what you can do. Now for music, what inspired you to becoming a musician, to start singing and where it all began pretty much?
So basically, I was age 2, and my mom's best friend, well, okay, we lived in Nashville. Let's start there. So I'm not in Florida, I was in Nashville. My mom's best friend's daughter was at the time 14. She's way older now, way older. At her age of 14, and I was what, two, three, four. She had gotten a record label at age 14 with Capitol Records, and she kind of just, I loved her music. And, she had a powerful voice for a 14-year-old. And I was like, at age 2, 3, 4, you're kind of just learning music. You're kind of just loving the style that you can, learn. And she was one of them. And I grew up listening to her album, and I grew up listening to her demo CD. And I got it when she had released her first demo track for the label before she got signed. And I got a copy of it. And like every day I would sing in my room to her. And I just, listened to her and sing to her music every single day.
Yeah.
And then, later on, she says, Hannah, you know what? You could be a singer. And she's like, I highly suggest you get into music. Because she knew I would grow up doing music.
Hmm.
And little did I know, later on, I loved it. Now, mind you, I didn't start my career or my the business part of it until I was 18. And I kind of just beforehand, I didn't do music in Nashville because I was still so young. I was just a baby. I was growing up. I wasn't, who I am now. I wasn't an adult. I was there from age maybe 18 months until age 15. So no, I didn't do music at all in Nashville,
Mm.
which is odd. But I didn't think I would want to do it. That wasn't in my head. I liked it. I knew I liked it, and I loved my mom's friend's daughter doing music, and I looked up to her. Don't get me wrong, I did. I loved her sound. I love her music. And then she got older, and she kind of went in a new style of music. And I got older as well. So by the time she did pop, with her style, I kind of seen the difference between what she did at age 14 to her early adulthood, beginning adulthood, maybe, for her. And then she didn't do music anymore. She didn't. She denied the label for Capitol Records, and then she stopped doing music. She is now in her 30s, I believe, and she has kids, and she doesn't do music anymore.
Yeah.
So, mind you, I I said to myself, you know what? I feel like I'm the only one left because my cousin did music. My mom's sister's son did it.
Hmm.
He opened up for Willie Nelson.
Oh, Willie Nelson.
Yeah,
Okay.
he he was not country. My cousin was not country music.
Hmm.
I don't know how he opened for Willie Nelson, but I was like, what, 2 at the time? And I knew all these people from Nashville, like from bands to country music.
As he got
These
older,
people, I
yeah.
kind of just, it just grew because I knew all my friends. Two of my best friends that I went to school with, they had famous parents. One of them was Trace Atkins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his daughter went to my school. We grew up going to each other's birthday parties and all that jazz. And then I grew up with Hal Ketchum's daughter. She was in the same school as Trace Atkins' daughter. All of us went to the same school from elementary all the way to middle school.
Okay.
And then I hit age 15. And then I was like, I want to do music. But I didn't know where to start because at this point I had moved to Florida. I didn't do music in Nashville, like I said before. I had no experience in doing shows. I had no experience in recording, no experience in writing. Didn't know how to write a song. Didn't know how to record. I was so shy in front of people. Um, I kind of just learned from other people that I met with.
Hmm.
I don't know how I met them, don't remember, but I kind of just met a lot of people, like producers. And I met, years down the road, I graduated high school and I I was 18 and I started writing with a friend.
Mm.
And he was a writer too, and he had done it for years. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't. I don't know. I don't know how to write a song. I've never done it before.
Yeah.
And I kind of just learned from him. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And I did that. I worked with him for months, maybe a couple of months, maybe 2 years. Me and him were working together and we came very close. And then, at age 18, I started to find producers around my local area of Florida. And so I did. And I went with my dad. He helped me because I wanted to see what it was all about. I still hadn't known about this whole recording thing. Mind you, I'm still new at this at
Hmm.
age 18.
Yeah.
And I met a producer near me. Um, we talked and blah, 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 blah. And we got to know each other and see what his side was and what I was going to do. And I had no vocal training. So I don't know anything about this music industry. And I met this producer and I was like, he wanted me to sing something. And I'm like, ugh. And I was like, I was not prepared.
Yeah.
But I knew that, I knew what I was going to sing. But what?
Right, right.
So he had asked me to sing a song, and I did, and it was Kelsey Ballerini's song when she first came out, opening into the big world of music. It was her first album that I loved when she was like what 16 of her age,
Hmm.
and I sang her song to the producer, and he actually liked it, and he gave me a tips, and I said okay. So I kind of just scurried along, and then I kind of just learned from a lot of people.
Yeah. Start
And
getting more experiences, stuff like that.
getting more experience behind the studio scenes, going to an actual studio, seeing what it looks like, seeing what my part would be. And I did. I met a very good producer, friend of mine, still today. Um, he was a really good producer.
Mm.
It's about, I think it was in St. Pete, yeah. And he had done produced a lot of people's music. And he got an award. I think it was like, he got an award for what he does now.
What's his name, by the way?
Kyle Carrier.
Kyle Carrier. I'm gonna have to look him up. I'll check him out.
So, anyways, yeah, that's
Yeah,
him.
sorry. Adam.
You're good. So that's him. And he was my first producer that I worked with professionally, and the first time of me experiencing being in a studio. He made it so comfortable for me to feel the environment and being in a studio because it can get scary being in the first time because you don't know like how to work things yet. I didn't know how to work it, like the microphone. I didn't know any of that.
Mm.
So I did, and I went to Kyle for 3 years, maybe longer.
Mm.
And I kind of just took the spun and I was like, let's do it. So that was the time when I started writing so much. I hadn't been to the recording studio. I was like, let's just give it a whirl. So
Mm.
I took it out of my hands and met some new people in writing. And from 2018 until now, I have written 300, maybe 456 songs
Mm.
over from the past of 2018 until this year.
Yeah.
And I can tell that I know what I'm doing because I kind of just know what to expect now.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
been in the music business from 2020, age 20, up till now. And I've been in management for not for this one, but I've been in several different managements for a couple years, but I declined them just because of how awful it was, and I didn't like that. So I kind of did it on my own.
Yeah.
So I found this management team about a year ago, maybe a year, yeah, a year ago. And I got, I was like, I love this. And they knew business. So I kept, I kept doing what I'm doing. I took it up a notch actually a few years back. I got a whole home recording studio now, all set up now.
Yeah.
So I got all that for myself. I know I just kept building on and on and on with all these people around me.
Yeah.
And them teaching me and teaching myself, and YouTube is helpful. And just kind of learning the in and outs of the doors of management in the business. Trust me, you don't know, you will know eventually.
Oh yeah. It's
You
all
will you will never say, I don't know anything. And if someone's interested in being in the music industry and they have zero idea of what to do, that was me at one point.
yeah.
And a lot of people ask me, how did you end up meeting on these people? I'm like, I don't know, but
It's
I
just
did.
it's yeah, it's like a
You
destiny.
just over time it will grow and grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
People know these people, and then your producers know these, and writers, and that it just grows.
Yeah. It's the
So
consistency.
it just kind of, you got to not say no to yourself. It's mind over matter.
Oh, I say that all the time.
It's
That's my
literally,
motive.
it's literally like it is very tough.
Yeah, it
And for
is.
me to say that, it's because it's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's true for everyone.
It's not the easiest business, tell you
It's
that.
no, it's not, I've done 10 years of saying no. I've turned back every label that had offered me and I said no.
Hmm.
I don't care who it was. I don't care if it was in Nashville. I don't care if it was somewhere in a different state. I said no
Yeah.
because I knew the in and outs by then. I knew the in and outs of how to do the secret doors of how contracts work, how the business rolls, what they want, what I want. It just goes in circles. You just got to know how, you just got to know how to figure out in what direction you want to go.
Yeah. It's just about the right connections and the experiences that you put yourself in to learn. You know what I mean? It's just anything. You adapt to it and you give yourself the time and patience to really understand and learn everything
I
that
mean,
you're
yeah,
getting
and
into.
you won't get it overnight. It's
Nah.
not something that you can learn overnight. And, you know, they hear stories about all these people saying, "Oh, I got, went on TikTok and went viral. That I got a record label bit." That
Yeah, but you realize that's just for a moment though. It's not gonna
it's
last
not gonna last. Yeah, it's not gonna
if
last.
you're just blowing up overnight and this is something you just started. You know, independent artists like yourself that's under a label, you've learned that throughout the years that you dedicate yourself to learning. And it doesn't go so far because you allow it and you allow those people to intervene and to help you and guide you and teach you. Like you said, you knew somebody from a get when you were just 2 years old to three, you know what I mean? And it's like you found that inspiration and you carry that with you. And throughout the years, what I'm understanding, you let it develop your character and you let you let it define yourself as who you are in the business, in the music industry and stuff like that. And it's still fairly new because you just, signed into a label, but you didn't just sign into a label. You made sure you played it smart. And if you look at a lot of artists, they didn't just sign into labels. There's a lot of independent artists that never signed into labels. Same Dave, are billionaires now, millionaires, and etc. because they've done it independently. But granted, that does take a lot longer, and the process is a lot slower than getting signed to a label. But getting signed to a label, you have to be very careful because I've seen the in and
It
outputs
can ruin your life in a
to ruin your
heartbeat.
life. You're signed for so long and you have to do so much in such little
For them,
time.
not for
And
you.
yeah, and it breaks a lot of people, but that's good that you're playing it smart. I see that, you have your head on straight with this. And I'm saying just keep pushing that, keep that motive and keep that energy going because that's gonna justify you as you are as an artist. And when people, more followers and more streamers and more people that see your music, they're gonna see you, what you represent. And no matter where you're at, you're gonna make it happen. And especially with the connections that you have nowadays and things that you're still learning. You're not gonna stop learning until you're dead. So get all the information you can, because what you learned, you could teach somebody else along the way as well, you know? Yeah, for sure. That's cool. So I saw that your most recent album that came out, was that just something recently you put out, or was that like after you signed a label, you just like started working on the album and then you just put it out, or was that something recent?
So there's a story to that.
Okay.
uh, that was a surprise to everyone. That was actually a total secret. That was all on my own. I hadn't signed anything. I hadn't done anything. I didn't go to any producers.
Oh, that was before the label. Okay.
I hadn't contacted any writers. This was back September 12th, 2022.
Hmm.
I it was right after the day after my grandma had passed. I went to her funeral that week of I like no, it was like a week later. I went to her funeral,
Hmm.
and I came back a few days later, and I was like, I gotta. I feel like I should do something because I was in a hole of just emotions flood through me after the loss of my horse, the same week of my grandmother, the same, I had too much going on in the same week. I came back home and I looked at, I sat down at my desk and saw this binder and I knew what it was. I was like, these are lyrics that I've had for almost a year and a half prior to 2022. I
Hmm.
hadn't recorded anything, no demos. I hadn't looked at it in months of time. So I don't know what was in there. I don't. And then I was like, now's the perfect time to do an album. And I did. I didn't contact anyone. I sat down and put together the album within 3 days. I planned it all by myself. No one knew. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't, like I said, I didn't contact anybody for any writers. No producers were around me. I didn't sign anything of my team. I had done nothing. No one knew about this but me. And I had already gotten all this recording equipment few years back, and I was like, well, now's a good time to use for it.
Yeah.
And so I dug deep into finding all these songs that I've written about a year before 2022, and I've forgotten all about it. And then I kind of just grabbed a theme and just dove for it.
Yeah.
And these lyrics that I found were already written um, about a year ago, and I kind of just plowed through it. I said, boom, 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 boom. There's 12 songs right there. Album done. So the next morning, I started recording and I started doing melodies. I started doing this. I did that. And mind you, I have everything. So I'm like, I sat down and started recording for 4 or 5 weeks straight. Almost, I took a couple days off just to see what I wanted to change or whatever. And I did. And it took about a month.
Hmm.
And I got all the songs done in 1 month and I released it in November.
Okay. Damn. That's crazy.
I'm like, boom, there you go. I got an
Within a
album.
month, you start with an idea and then you release it. That's fast.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's fast.
no, but like it sounds good to what I heard and what I was listening to. I was gonna ask you what was the inspiration behind the album, but I can tell by what you were saying, and I'm sorry, my condolences, hearing about your grandmother passed, because I'm myself very close to my grandmother. So I can
My
just
grandma
even
was 99 years old.
okay, so she was already up there. She basically
She
lived
was,
her life, at least, she had, somebody that cared for her and it gave her life, to her last, and inspiration to make an album that I felt that came from a heavy heart and from a heavy place. And you had, like you said, you were just flowing through all those emotions. You had to figure out a way to cope and to deal with that. And a lot of people nowadays don't know how to. And when you use your passion and things that you're involved in, I feel like that's where the beauty of art and music comes from, because a lot of people can relate to those kind of losses. A lot of people can relate to those emotions and can actually, if you actually sit down and hear the lyrics, you can hear the person's pain and you can relate to that pain. And that's where music plays its part. And you like you said before, learning all these things and learning about yourself, it builds character. And with you just doing that, taking action instead of just, I'm just going to just give myself time to cope with this and just give myself to just understand what's going on. No, you did the opposite. You went straight to work and you put yourself out there. And that takes a lot for just one person to be emotionally available for that kind of situation, to deal with something like that loss, especially a loss, and you put it into work. So never mind that question. I definitely understand that now. So that's great though. So it definitely sounds like you're definitely on the right road. You're heading on to, even though this is all fairly new, even though you've been doing this for quite some time, but now you're actually putting it into a business perspective and you're actually putting in motion and motive and you're making the right moves. And that's for just a lot of other artists that are pretty much in the same situation as you, because this is the main reasons why I'm even doing this, because I want to hear and discover people that are just starting or even just have the idea. And I've said this multiple times, because for me, I was pretty much the same scenario as you. You know what I mean? I was trying to figure things out. I was getting myself surrounded by other people, not even people like, because I hate to say it, Florida, Florida is probably the last place you would probably want to be at to get into the music business, because we don't have the access things that other places do. Like Nashville, like Los Angeles. We don't have stars that live out here like that. We do. We have a lot of great artists that are from Florida. You know, Even Ariana Grande. You're talking about somebody that has a powerful voice. She has a powerful voice. Like she's strong, but she's from Florida. But she did what she had to do to make it happen. But for somebody that's actually living in the state that has no access, but you're making a dream come true, that's very inspirational in my eyes. And I feel like anybody that watches this, you'll feel just as inspired. Because I interviewed somebody else that's from Florida, and she's an artist as well, and she's just starting out too. So if she even watches this, and she's like, okay, I'm not the only one. You know what I mean? So that's why I like doing this, so like other people can relate to that stuff. It's all about relation when it comes to putting a message out there, you know. You get it. That's cool. So have you are so because it's the new year, 2023. It's crazy. What's the goal? What's the what are you planning to do this year that you really have a goal for your destination to complete that?
So, I already planned that in 2022.
Hmm.
I had already figured out some of it, but I wasn't 100% sure of what direction
Hmm.
I was gonna lean in, or what even in music world of where I'm going, what I'm doing, who I'm talking with. I don't even know any of that, but I kind of knew the direction of what I was leaning towards. And because the album was so close to the end of the year, now it's January. So this month, um, my management team have completely just driven me into just go back from the start. It gives me time to rewrite. It gives me time to get new content out of any direction that I want to do.
Hmm.
And it's not going to be the same as my album. I can tell you that now. I'm not a depressed person. I'm not. I'm a happy
No, but at the time, I get it. At the time,
person.
you were
I'm
dealing
not.
with something, you know?
I promise you I'm not. But I can tell you that now for this year, two of the songs for January, well, there's two songs. For one of them is going to be in January release. I don't know when, I don't know how. I'm kind of just gathering information right now, so I don't know anything. Um, and then February I have something released prior to the middle of the month. Those two songs are new.
Hmm.
By new, I mean by new genre. I have experience with this genre, but I have not put this type of music out and went since I was 18.
What's the genre, if you don't mind me
It's
asking?
gonna be a pop slash, okay, one of them is gonna be a pop slash country duo.
Okay.
The first one in January will be will be a pop vibe, maybe
Hmm. Okay.
R&B, maybe I don't know. So that I can tell you that. Now for the rest of them, I don't know because I haven't fiddled with them long enough to figure out what's gonna happen. Now I
Yeah.
do know I am releasing over 15 songs and by January up to November. 15 songs, all singles. I can tell you that now. Now I
Okay.
don't know about an album. I don't know about an EP. I don't know any of that yet until I can get an okay from a management team to say they will let me know when I can go ahead and do that.
The next
But for
album.
right, yeah, but for right now, it's strictly writing, it's strictly demoing, kind of getting feel the vibe for new sounds, um, kind of going in all different directions.
That's good promotion. That's good promotion for yourself because you can promote yourself, and as your last album comes out, you can let that kind of just marinate and just let it just sink
Sink in.
in. Yeah, exactly. And then once all your single comes out and stuff like that, kind of putting yourself out there as a new artist, and then when that time comes, you'll be able to be ready to do another album. Because albums, I mean, I've heard this best from somebody else. They said it like as in an album is something that identifies you, that represents you. So that can take up a
A
year.
year or
That could,
two.
yeah, that could take up a year or two, etc. And because you really have to sit down and every single song you put on that album, you got to make sure that
That's
symbolizes
right.
you
It's
as an
the right
artist.
time. It's the right feeling. You know exactly how you want to play it out. Now, mind you, when I told you before that it only took me 2 months, and I don't want to say, I don't want to get everybody all jumbled. I'm like, how did she do that in 2 months? How long? I mean, yes, it took me 2 months because here's the reason why. Because I took 3 to 4 years to figure it out.
Yeah. It's
I
not
knew
because you
I
just did it.
knew
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to do it. I didn't know what direction I want to pull it in. It took me literally 3 or 4 years to finally put it all together,
Yeah.
but 2 months to actually finalize it and actually know that I have it together. That's why it took me 2 months to format it, because I had already had all the questions answered to myself. This and this and this is what's going to be on there. I already had it planned out.
Yeah.
So it had taken me 2 months to do the finalizing. 3 to 4 years planning.
Hmm. Well, yeah, that's what it took, that just that spark from the darkest moment in a period of your time to just, okay, this is the time to do it. Like the worst time, but it's also the best time to let that out. You know what I mean? For basically what you've been stirring up for the last 4 years to kind
Mhm.
of just, all right, I gotta do this. You know what I mean? Type deal. And from what I've heard, this that the album, sounded very unique, and it sounded just deep. It founded like very true emotion. It wasn't just like, oh, I gotta put an album out so I can make it, try to put myself out there and make myself sound good. No, it sounded like true emotion. You're really deep into your creative side, and that's good. That's a good start, you know. So I'm proud of you on that. I'm happy to, interview and hear somebody that's been through that trauma and made something beautiful out of that. We are coming up to that time though, so we have to wrap this up.
Yep.
But and also I know you got a full scheduled day, so I
Yeah.
don't want to take too much of your time. Just real quick, let the people know your streams, their follows, everything where they can get at you and follow you and find you.
Mhm. So basically, I'm on all streaming platforms like YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Play, YouTube Music, everywhere you can think of where there's online streaming music, I will be on there. If you have a question about online website, it's being built later on this year. Just because of this whole new process of me being in a management team with new everything that's being in the works. Don't worry, it'll be there. So
Okay.
you can look me up at Hannah Ray Lynn. Ray is Ray. Lynn is Lynn.
Okay. What's up, everybody? It's John's podcast. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more videos.